Good morning. Welcome to the Meltdown. Sorry it's a little bit later than usual, but I've been busy and lots going on out there. If you're a metals person and you've decided to be a bit of a contrarian, this was the time to buy. I pretty much keep trying to say that. While there's a technical low in gold and silver, when do we find it? Will we ever really get there? Have we already seen it? Those are some of my questions. They're questions that make sense because when you get right down to it, we are approaching the cost of production quickly. And the cost of production, what it costs a mining company to physically produce a net ounce of gold or silver or platinum, is affected by a lot of variables. But what I can really tell you is that when markets move 1.5% to 3.5%, it's a clear sign that there's paper trading. Now, I talk about paper, and I've talked about it quite a bit. I'm watching as intensely as anybody can. No, I don't have hundreds of millions of dollars to put into a market, but I'm watching the US dollar. I'm watching the foreign currencies. I keep an eye on the price of crude oil, and I realize that the traders are going to manipulate the numbers. I realize that Iran and Iraq and Libya are all oil producers trying to get enough positive feedback that they can start to sell their crude on the open market. Problem is that they really don't want to deal in US dollars. Nobody really wants to deal in the US dollar. I watch from a standpoint of the treasury yields and where yields are going. And I talk to people that have been around the industry, the finance game, interest rates, stock markets, bond markets. And so the message is one that maintains the balance of liquidity. I want you to be successful. I do not want to be a gloom and doomer. But I can tell you that when seasonally adjusted unemployment is 338,000, and that actually looks like a positive 200,000 less claims, I can tell you that bad weather is an issue. I can tell you that there were a couple of days of holidays. I can tell you a lot of different factors that will affect the net effect of all of this. But folks, the bottom line is that the 1.3 million people who came off of unemployment benefits will either have to drop out of the employment picture. Of course, they were already unemployed, so now they just stop looking. Or they start accepting jobs at a lower pay scale because they can't afford not to be feeding their families. It will lead to a lower unemployment figure, maybe 0.5%. But the net effect of millions of people who have relied on government subsidies aren't going to be getting them. And what does that do in the real estate market? What does that do in the unemployment picture? Are you telling me that it's a good thing that people are being taken down? Because that's the message. I want to own gold and silver because the United States government doesn't do it. The government has borrowed so much gold. Germany is the one in particular that came out last year. And I want to say the first quarter, the Germans wanted to repatriate their gold. They wanted it from France and from the United States. And our response was you need 7 years. Today, if you wired the funds, I can deliver thousands of $20 gold pieces from jewelry grade to common dates in a myriad of qualities, from jewelry to uncirculated. And the prices are going to run from somewhere around the $1,250, $1,300 range for the worst quality, up to tens of thousands and probably millions of dollars. Now, for the past couple of weeks, Michael and I have been tracking the 3X Eagle collection coins. That was a collection of 150 $20 Liberty Gold coins from 1850 to 1907. including the 3 proof-only years of 1883, 1884, and 1887. Now, as we've started to track these coins, a week and a half or so ago, one of them was still tracking at $1. Well, the numbers update pretty regularly, and so Michael's current information updates the 1879.0, which had been trailing miserably at about 30 grand, now at 65,000. The 1884 Proof 64 Cameo still holding tight at its 30. But the 1887, which is a Proof 66 coin, which had been in the neighborhood of about 35,000, is now at 65,000. They're still over a week before we get to the auction. And these 3 coins are very important pieces. Yes, they were part of the very first set of certified $20 Liberties ever built. The only other time a complete set was created was when Louis Eliasberg did it back in 1950. And at that time, Mr. Eliasberg owned one example from every mint, representing every mint mark that had ever been struck of every coin made by the U.S. government. Now, the event, when they began the auction of his quality coins, low quality and high quality, will never happen again where there will ever be a complete set. It's not going to happen because when Mr. Eliasberg built the set, he owned several, quote, unique coins. Those coins will never be back in the same hands again. Subsequently, it'll never happen again. But it builds the case around maintaining quality, maintaining pedigree. And so while I consistently send the message out about how to enhance the value of coins, there are companies, NGC and PCGS, that now will conserve your coins. That means they'll legally clean them. If they've been environmentally damaged, whether that was in a PVC flip, whether it was the way the coins were processed at the mints that made them, because there are coins from other world mints that are now being third-party graded and authenticated. The fees are going up. NGC, and quote the company, NCS, won't guarantee the grade of a coin after it's been conserved. But cleaning is legal as long as they do it. Now, it is an important factor when NCS and now PCGS has gotten on board because there's so much money that's being manipulated around. They're necessary evils. Coins that were originally authenticated that maybe were overgraded or should never have gotten the grade. Maybe the coin looks horrible in the holder and they don't want it out there anymore. Well, we went from guaranteeing the grade, nothing worse, to no guarantees of any kind. They don't even guarantee the coin will go back in the holder. And so you can own a really classic date, and if it's got damage, whether or not you decide to send it to be conserved or not becomes a question. These are part of the factors that go into why you buy certain coins and why you sell certain coins. And it really is important that you understand that from my standpoint, I am truly interested in knowing that pieces will matter. And there are coins that will matter and go significantly over the bid. There are coins that will bring underbid. And it's that standpoint that I worry the most about. And when we look at the value of coins, when you look at something that is so rare and so desirable that it's going to trade, the question is, how do you get it to the next level? Now, I've got a client who I sold some coins to. I'm going to meet with another one this afternoon who acquired material that was very premium quality. And I picked on the 1850 New Orleans $20 gold piece last week. And that was a coin that was sold originally as a PCGS Extra Fine 40. Coin sold for $7,000. Based on its first time through the grading service, the coin grades AU50, and that means on a wholesale basis, there's almost any dealer that would write a check for $10,000 or $11,000, and over a couple of year period, the client makes over 50% on his money. However, In looking at the coin and comparing it to other specimens of 1850 O's, I can tell you this one looks nicer than the one that's graded AU53 or the one that I found that was graded AU55 that's currently available in the marketplace. And so, am I done with that coin? Absolutely not. Do I think that it needs to be resubmitted and we need to get the CAC sticker on it, depending on if we can get the crossover and the upgrade? So there's a lot of factors that go into this. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. But there are coins, folks, that are so good looking. Don't tell me, please, because I'll argue with everybody and debate it. That's why CAC is so important. Whether you get the green football or the gold football, it is a separate entity that determines that the coins are of premium quality, and they bring a premium. Those premiums are going to range from as little as 10%, in some cases to as much as 200 or 300%. The grading companies come into question. And what is the motive of the companies that are involved? Sorry about that. From my standpoint, I want to see good quality coins, and I want you to be able to make money. There's no doubt about that. But when you get right down to it, and you or your spouse look at a coin that you've bought from any dealer in the country, and all of a sudden you go online and you realize that there's 50 different listings of the same 1881 San Francisco Morgan silver dollar, and all of a sudden you're going to have to deal with the reality that, wait a minute, there's coins that sell for $165, and there's coins that sell for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. And you think that the guy who's charging you the $2,000 or $3,000 took advantage of you, when in essence he was really helping you. He gave you more information than what you were prepared to deal with. That's the concern. And so when I look up 1881 San Francisco Morgan silver dollars, I can tell you that a Mint State 67 deep mirror proof-like is just under 10,000. A toned Mint State 68 is 6,700. Now, what does that equate to? Well, the Mint State 68 coin, I've sold them for 3,500 to 4,000. That's what I've realized out of. Sorry, there's something attacking me in the room. Oh, there it is. It's a fly. Anyway, coins that sell for $4,000, 3,500, that are trading for upwards of 6,700. Here's a Mint State 66 rainbow toned Morgan silver dollar. It's a $300 coin that someone's listed at 5,000. Now, if you go to the bottom of the barrel, you can find a Mint State 67 Plus for $1,700 or less. And the numbers keep dropping. So all I'm really trying to bring to you and try to explain to you is that there are coins that command a premium as well as coins that don't command the premium. And if you're just looking online and you're trying to figure out how to make the most money out of your material, it takes somebody with experience. That's what my message is today. And you want to own coins that other people want, but you want to understand why you pay the premium to own them. That's easy. So it's from that standpoint that I'm going to tell you straight up. A coin that's a $300 coin could easily sell for $1,500. And it doesn't mean that the $1,500 coin is overpriced. Maybe it needs the CAC sticker. Maybe that'll help enhance your value. But to arbitrarily allow somebody with no experience to make that decision is the wrong decision. And I talk about this to people all the time. It's part of the reason why folks always want to own the 1 ounce, whatever it is, the silver American Eagles or Pandas or Austrian Philharmonics or silver maple leafs or gold coins. Same thing. You don't want to pay the premium. Well, I can tell you that paying the premium is a valuable decision because John Paulson in 2012 had the better side of 44% of the money in the fund, which was over $200 million, invested in gold-backed investments. He lost 30 percentage points. give or take a little bit, that's $25 million. If he'd have bought gold, physical gold, he'd have made 10%. Doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a 40% swing. And don't tell me you're going to show up in Humble throwing rocks at me because you made 40 points. Oh, the unemployment figures are concerning. The fact that Chinese factories are losing some of their mojo. Look, reality is that anyone can state anything, and they can hide the numbers as best they choose. I think it's interesting that the Dow starts down, and I am one of those who has believed that the correction is due. We're near a top. When you get near a top, you should be a bit skittish. Whether the Dow is down 80 points or 120 points depends on what site you're looking at. But I'm looking at the dollar, which is rebounding today, and there are still foreign currencies that are up as the dollar's going up. And of course, that's the yen, the won, the Canadian, and the Aussie dollars. Folks, this is that time where you have to pull in your bootstraps. You have to insist on diversifying. You want to own multiple types of coins. You need to have a strategy that discusses hedging the bet within the portfolio. And that's why I do what I do. If you've got questions and you'd like to talk to me, please reach out, give me a phone call. It's 281-548-2646. That's 281-548-2646, or toll free 877-705-2646. Hit option 0. That way you get a live voice. Kelly or myself will be more than happy to take the call. Email me. That's Brett, B-R-E-T-T, @thegoldexchange.net. Folks, I do business with other dealers, and I deal with clients straight up. You get your product, you'll be thrilled you did it. This is the way you insulate yourself from the volatility of the impending movement in other markets. Even Warren Buffett diversifies in the portfolio for Berkshire Hathaway. Not everything goes up. Some things go down, and you just need to be hedged out. Anyway, if you've got questions, you can go to themeltdown.com. There's well over 500 shows. We're approaching 400 hours of audio. My shows get a little bit shorter, sometime between 15 and 20 minutes, twice a day. Took off for the holidays, but if you got questions, email me, brett@thegoldexchange.net. You know how to reach me and call. Go to themeltdown.com. There is a link to other websites, more information. Love to be able to assist you. I never want to get off air without thanking Texas Children's Hospital, both the Downs Clinic and the Ronald McDonald House. Now, my son Jason has very mild Downs, and so the Downs Clinic is very special to me. The Meyer Center is now moved off of the Fannin location. It's a little bit south, but if you visit themeltdown.com, you can click on the donation banner. Your information is totally private and anonymous for me. You'll get a receipt for your contribution. Same thing with the Ronald McDonald House. Now, in the case of the Ronald McDonald House, if you can provide between 20 and 40 hot meals each evening, any evening, 832-824-8600. That's 832-824-8600. Nancy Allen and her staff would be more than happy to help accommodate you and explain what you've got to be able to provide. Folks, I appreciate the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and the volunteers at Texas Children's throughout the medical center, throughout the world, because the kids need our help. Now, I hope you have a great day. Stay warm. It's chilly out there and the wind's blowing. We'll be back this afternoon. Appreciate you listening in. God bless you. We'll check you in a few hours. Bye-bye.